MS does suck.
MS mucks with your central nervous system, almost everything about your body, your muscles, your organs, your ability to speak, your ability to understand, your ability to move, your ability to breathe, the things you feel, the things you taste, the things you smell, the things you hear.
I went through a very long stage of learning how to cope with it.
Always taking away. You never get anything back.
MS took everything from me. Everything I thought was important, everything I valued.
I used to jump in a trampoline and swim with the kids and play baseball, football.
MS has affected me being a mom because I'm sorry.
Plan for the worst and hope for the best is kind of the way I'm looking at life.
Every day, I'm inspired by people with MS who say to me, "What can I do to help?" It's the entire community that enables the progress that has happened over the last 15 years.
I've heard repeatedly over the last few years, you're so positive, you're so positive. I figure I'm still gonna live my life. Occasionally it slows me down a little bit, but it hasn't stopped me.
How do I want my daughters to look at me? They've seen the resilience of Dad. They've seen the strength in Dad, and that's what I want to portray.
Because MS is brutal. MS isn't fair. MS is harsh. But MS is also a great teacher.
I just don't want people to be isolated in their sorrow and instead kick ass.
I walk in a lot of gratitude to be able to see this beautiful world and to be able to dance and walk, to be able to. That's a major type of freedom. And it's a beast, but so am I.
Despite MS, I will keep riding my bike.
I will continue to live the life that my daughter expects me to live.
I will continue to be the strongest mom that I possibly can.
I won't let MS change who I am inside.
I will still dance with my husband.
And I'm going to stay being a father as long as they'll put up with me.
Multiple sclerosis may be a part of who you are, but it doesn't define you as a person.
I will never stop. I will never quit.
I'm going to keep being me.
My name is Kevin Byrne.
I'm Kim Feller.
My name is Chris Ramsey.
And I have multiple sclerosis.
Multiple sclerosis.
Multiple sclerosis.
All 2v8s online for today's live broadcast of the International Division of the Majors Series. Once again, a fantastic year-long championship testing the mettle of different drivers from all around the world and from all different kinds of disciplines of racing. Today, we go to the dirt. This is the Knoxville Nationals supporting the Multiple Sclerosis Society. My name is Reese Gardiner. Joining me in the commentary box once again, Cameron Dance. Cam, this is a bit different for me, but you've had some experience broadcasting dirt oval racing before.
Yeah, for sure. This is probably the most radical combination that we're going to see in the major series this season. Obviously, not on pavement at all. It's going to be all about going sideways and throwing dirt around.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we're dealing with an incredible evolving track as well. We got to remember the dirt division of iRacing was brought in as basically one of the biggest test beds of iRacing's dynamic track system, and you can really see its effects for real at a place like this. Getting that line, the racing line, nice, hard, and compact, and very slippery as well. So you're going to see drivers experimenting with lines quite a bit tonight. And you're certainly going to see some courageous moves and the ever wonderful slide job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really, really interesting. We've got a very mixed field of drivers, range from experienced to the more or less experienced drivers, shall we say. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see who's actually going to win this event. I know there's a couple of ring-ins, those that have done plenty of racing and shown their worth in some of the Australian Oz and Z series. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what the competition is going to be like. And like you said, with the fact that we're on dirt, the track's going to be constantly changing, and you're going to see everybody pretty much searching all over the track for grip and speed.
Yeah, certainly. Qualifying is underway here at Knoxville under lights, so all the drivers in the field will have a couple of chances to set up their cars properly for a fast run around this track. Got most of the field out there already. Of course, they're all doing sole qualifying, so from their point of view, they are the only car on track. They will have 4 laps, 4 opportunities to set a quick time, and this track at Knoxville, it's very famous in the sprint car world, especially in the United States. It's one of those places that is basically hallowed ground in the sprint car world. It's a bit more difficult than it first looks.
Yeah, for sure. While it's obviously an oval, so you've got 4 corners, it's the sprint car capital of the world, so the most famous dirt oval in the world, pretty much, and in America. So it's the holy grail track of sprint car racing. And like you said, this track, while it looks fairly simple, it's actually not that easy to get a very quick lap in, as you've got to run a line and try and keep the car as straight as possible so that you're not losing too much time from being too sideways. As I've also just seen Jason Martin go straight to the top with a 15.1 triple one.
Yeah, certainly improving on his previous time, which already had nabbed him pole. So Jason Martin doing very well there with his runs finished. He currently holds provisional pole. That embankment on the inside line of the circuit, for the inexperienced around Knoxville, it can really catch you out. I know it caught me out when I did my first laps around this track when it came out for iRacing. You think, I can just go straight towards the wall. Nope, you've got a big mound of dirt on the inside of the corners that may send you flying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want to kind of think of it as the apron at Daytona. With the very back corners at Daytona, you don't want to touch the apron, as that usually sends you into the wall or does something radical to the car that ends up causing you to crash or have a moment. So it's really, really tricky, especially in qualifying where you're trying to be on the absolute limit of getting a good lap time out. It's very easy to hit just enough so that it unloads the car. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see whether it catches anybody out, and especially coming out of pit lane, should anybody need to use their spare car, or coming out of pit lane to start the pace lap, you've got to be really, really gentle on the throttle, because it is a hard pan, so there's limited to almost no grip on it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it also makes the actual racing surface a lot narrower than it first seems to. This being a dirt oval, we've also got the walls as an ever-present threat. And, you know, in these sprint cars, 410 cubic inches of V8 power, almost 900 horsepower under the driver's right pedal in a single gear, going through a differential that is almost non-existent. These cars are designed for turning left and not much more, and they do it at incredible breakneck speeds. Your precision has to be absolutely spot on in these things.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got plenty of horsepower, very little weight. It's probably one of the best race cars in the world as far as power to weight ratio goes, and the amount of downforce you've also got is just absolutely incredible. You go around some of these corners and you just go, this can't be possible, but it is, and that's just purely due to the fact that you've got that much power, that much grip, and that little weight that it's able to happen. So it's a really awesome car to drive once you get the hang of it, but yeah, very, very challenging at the same time.
Exactly. Well, Robert Northway just rocketed to second place. So we're going to take a look now at these qualifying results. So Jason Martin taking pole overall, with Robert Northway in second, Trent Gosley and James Robbie as well. Daniel Stevens, Sean O'Hara, Dwayne Burns, Josh Nowak, Matthew Clote, and Stefan Wang rounding out the top cars in this field today. Of course, they will get split off into heats, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that the heat format works, just to give you a fair idea, is the top 4 times from each from qualifying start on pole for their heats, and then from there it's pretty much second, third, fourth. on the way down for each heat. And at this in this format that they're going to be using tonight, it's going to be 3 people, the top 3 from each heat, go through straight to the A main, and then the rest pretty much have to do not quite the alphabet, but go through a D main, C main, and then a B main. And I believe the top 6 from the B main go through to the A main to finish off what will be a 15-car A main.
That is going to be an interesting one for sure. Well, Heat 1's grid is on screen now. We've got Jason Martin starting on the inside line in P1, James Robbie alongside him with Dwayne Burns, Stefan Wang, Enrico Lennart, Connor McCluskey-Young, Trevor Mack, Uldis Puteklis, and Daniel Vassell. A 9-car grid for the first heat tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a quite competitive field in this one for the top few positions. I know that is about 3 to 4 guys could possibly win this or finish inside those top 3 and transfer to the A main. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And by the looks of it, Jason Martin's going to have it fairly under control as well, getting pole for the A main.
Yes, indeed. Now, these races are going to absolutely fly by. 15 laps around Knoxville, a lap length of just over 15 seconds. So this race will be over in about 5 minutes, I would suppose. 3 minutes 40 is the number that our director, Mr. Jay Kennedy, has quoted us. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, a couple of pace laps here is 3 minutes 47 is the exact number that these races should go by. It's all about trying to match what Jason Martin does here for James Robbie.
Yeah, absolutely. James Robbie, one of the more well-known drivers in the dirt community of the OzNZ side, and he's done plenty of racing as far as competing in series. He's recently did the Australian Sprint Car Series that we broadcast not too long ago, and then he's done other various events. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but those two should easily transfer through to the A main. It'll just be more about who's going to make it into that final spot on the bubble.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Remember, the top 3 go through. So it's all to play for those podium positions, and things could easily go wrong in these fragile sprint cars. The pace car is in the pits, and now the field is under the control of Jason Martin, who gets a very good jump here as we get green flag here at Knoxville for the first heat of the night. He manages to maintain that very nicely. However, we've got a big wreck here in the background. Who is that? That's Enrico Lennart and Stefan Wang, who've come together. No safety car as of yet, but it is on for the lead here. Jason Martin versus James Robbie. James Robbie getting up onto that embankment, Cam.
Yeah, he's absolutely pushing as hard as he can. At the moment, because the track's so fresh, you'll find that a lot of guys will be hugging that inside berm as much as they can until it starts to slick off. Obviously, a 15-lap heat race, it's a little bit longer than you'd typically find in most events, but most of these guys, whoa, that was very, very close there. But as you said, like we saw there, that embankment can really unsettle the car if you're not careful. So it's going to be all about just trying to not hit it, but hug that inside line and just be as quick as possible.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Jason Martin almost got into the wall there just a few moments ago. So it's definitely on here, and he's feeling the pressure from James Robbie. And Robbie actually starting to put a bit of pressure on himself, almost getting into the wall and losing quite a bit of ground to Martin there. And this is actually opening them up to an attack from Dwayne Burns, who, as the track you can see, is starting to slick up on the racing line. These cars are going to start getting more unstable. These drivers are going to start adjusting their wings to adjust the handling of their cars. It is on for 6th place as I am taking a look. Connor McCluskey, Young, and Trevor Mack battling here, but that top 3 certainly where it's at right now, and Dwayne Burns could really be a threat for the top 2.
Yeah, absolutely. He's actually got some very, very good pace, considering he's one of the more inexperienced guys in this pack. I know he was searching for different tips and advice through the week leading up to this event, so he's doing fairly well for himself. But like you said, this track is starting to slick up a little bit, so you'll find guys that'll possibly be changing lines or moving the wing back just enough so that the car doesn't start to over-rotate too much.
Yeah, that's right, and I think you might be seeing the guys doing that right now, because I can see, particularly in turns 1 and 2, that you can really start to see a groove forming. James Robbie now, well, actually, the top 3 are looking pretty equidistant from each other. Dwayne Burns starting to really drop onto the back of James Robbie on this particular lap. Robbie just a little bit faster on the last lap, but we'll see how they go on this one. Goodness me, pretty close actually. These guys are setting pretty close lap times to each other. Jason Martin actually slower than the 2 guys behind him, so they haven't got much time left to try and mount a challenge.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting, and I'm actually looking at Danny Vassell as well, just behind this top 3, who's actually not doing too bad of lap times either. I think he'll probably run out of time and laps to try and get inside the top 3, but he'll be one to definitely keep an eye on it later on in these consolation races.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We do have consolation races, so there is going to be a second chance for the people who haven't made it into the mains by way of heats. But they're just going to come around pretty soon to start the final lap here at Knoxville. Jason Martin with what appears to be a pretty unassailable lead right now. Only 15 seconds left until he can cross the line. And it looks to me like it's going to be a fairly comfortable victory for Jason Martin. Not a hugely eventful race, but if you're in the driver's seat, that's exactly what you want. Jason Martin taking the checkered flag there in Heat 1, followed by James Robbie and Dwayne Burns. They earn a ticket through to the mains.
Yeah, and the rest of the field, Daniel Vassell, Trevor Mack, Connor McCluskey-Young, Aldous Pukatakis, and the rest will have to fight their way through in the D, C, and B mains.
That's exactly right. We are moving straight forward into the second heat of the night. Grid is as follows. Robert Northway leading with Daniel Stevens, Josh Nowak, Shane Bowen, Oliver Searles, Christopher Norton, Dean Moll, and series administrator Mike Ouellette taking part in this one. It's an 8-car grid for this particular heat, and this could get feisty. We've got our actual overall international division leader here in Mr. Nowak.
Yeah, I know Josh has been not really looking forward to this event. He's currently sitting 3rd in this heat at the moment for gridding, so I know he'll be trying to hold on to that 3rd position, but he's going to have the likes of Shane Bowen, Oliver Searles, Christopher Norton, and that not too far behind it. Looking at the qualifying times, he should be okay to try and hold on to 3rd, but anything can happen in these very radically changing conditions.
That's exactly right. The track has not been reset for these extra heats, so these guys are going to have to deal with a vastly different track to the one that they qualified on. There's that groove forming down on the lower lines, and we might see drivers start to move up onto the higher parts of the track to search for some grip. We'll have to wait and see, though. It could really change the way this race works if the grippy surface is much, much narrower. So, Robert Northway in that Red Bull liveried sprint car. He's certainly in with a chance of taking a Jason Martin-style victory here. Quite a ways ahead of Daniel Stevens when you look at it comparatively. But the pace car will go in momentarily. We'll see how early Northway decides to go. He's going to go quite early. Big jump there. He's taken everyone by surprise. But the top 3 have stuck with him. Oliver Searles with some trouble on the inside line, almost making contact with Christopher Norton.
Yeah, it's fairly well, bit of a battle pack going on back there, but for the most part, it seems to be single file. Starting to see guys run a little bit higher than those who were in the first heat did, just primarily due to that line down low being slickened up, but we've got a battle for 2nd and 3rd at the moment.
Yeah, we certainly have, and it looks like there's a bit of ebb and flow going through the top 3. Oh no! Daniel Stevens getting caught up on the berm. This is opening him up to an attack from Nowak, and Nowak is going to try and go through, but there's not much grip there on the bottom line. See how Daniel Stevens just shot around him on the outside. He's making that line work for him very nicely. Have a look, he's almost going to get a run here. Oh, into the wall, and that could have turned out way worse than it did. But Daniel Stevens still feeling a lot of pressure here, side by side with Josh Nowak, coming into turn 1 as they start lap 5. But have a look at that run that he keeps getting on the outside line. And it's almost impossible to defend the inside here. Oh, have a look at that, almost. And there we go, Daniel Stevens in the lead. Robert Northway losing position 1. And there you go, Northway, if he wants to try and preserve this race, he needs to start running that high line.
You have to start moving up that racetrack, and Noak starting to follow that line that Stevens has got. He's going to go round the outside of Northway. He's going to hopefully try and hold it in that loose dirt. It's going to look like it's going to work because he's got the run out of the corner of turn 2. They're going to come through turn 3, still side by side. Northway trying to get up to that high line, but it's not enough room, and they're going to be coming up from Bowen. So this is going to be all on for the final transfer spot in towards the A-main.
Oh, Northway, what are you doing? He's not making good use of that inside line. He needs to start using the top. Oh, well, it hasn't worked for him. Shane Bowen moving into P3, so he is in the transfer spot. And Robert Northway, now, he's going to have to try and get some of that back if he wants any chance at getting into the mains without having to deal with the consolation.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really trying to work that high line Northwest at the moment. A little bit probably too high for this stage in the race. It's not quite slick enough down low, so he needs to get a little bit lower. But at the moment, that top 3 is fairly comfortable and a little bit stretched out. Daniel Stevens right out to a massive lead, and as you can see, the track already starting to take a bit of slick. Bowen almost in the wall there, having to take a bit of a slider line into turn 3 just to avoid any sort of unbalancement from the car, but he's managing to hold on to it. Now Northway is going to come under it. Oh, let's start to attack the back end of Moen.
Yeah, certainly. It's definitely on here for the last transfer spot. Will it be Robert Northway or Shane Bowen getting through? Now see Northway. He's gotten... Oh, no! Oh, no! Right into the wall. Oh,
managed to keep it going, though.
Yeah, but that car probably won't be handling too well, and it seems that Northway has lost any chance of getting through into that transfer spot. That car looks very wayward in its handling. Northway struggling there and actually getting together. Norton's in with Christopher Norton. Oh, right across the track. Guys are going to have to be careful of that one. What a shame.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate. And looks like Northway is just having to nurse a really damaged car at this point, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
So close to making the A-main, but that's unfortunately happened, and Christopher Norton's had unfortunately been an innocent bystander, and that just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, well, there you go. Daniel Stevens crossing the line to take victory here in Heat 2. Nowak in second and Shane Bowen in third. Robert Northway, wow. How disappointed would you be from pole to finishing in a mere 6th place? So that's a real shame, Cam, but now we're on for Heat 3, and the top 3 from this will get a ticket to the feature as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And those top 2 starting on the front row, Trent Gosley and Sean O'Hara, it's probably going to be hard to beat either of those 2, to be fair. They've once again experienced in plenty of AusNZ events such as the Australian Sprint Car Series, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see who's going to take out that final transfer spot. Clote's got a fairly good chance, although Atchison and John King aren't too far behind, so could be a very, very good scrap for the final transfer spot.
Yeah, certainly good. We'll have to wait and see. Going out to start their 2 pace laps as we speak. And it's always, I get the feeling that these races, the heats for the more minor positions, are the ones that provide some of the most entertaining racing, because these are the guys for whom much more is at stake. They could have a chance to slip into the finals here if they play their cards right. When you see heats from the top guys, they like to play it safe. They like to make sure that their spots are secure, but these guys, they will fight to the bitter end.
Yeah, for sure. I can tell from experience, having raced in the Pro Series, the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Championship Series, that it's full on in the heats with only a handful of you going through 4 in that series. It's very, very tough, especially when you're all around the same pace. So it's all on in the heats, and then when you get to the feature, you've really got to start thinking about it properly. So it's really, really interesting, as the pace car should be coming in this time by, and we're going to be going green.
We certainly are, and the top two almost making contact there, but Trent Gosley going nice and early. Oh, we've already got a car in the wall there. That was Matthew Clote. Just not getting the run that he would have wanted off the line. Gosley with a big lead already, and it is on for third. Have a look at that, almost making contact. Matthew Clote versus Anthony Green, and Green, you can see, is firing it towards the inside, just trying to make a V shape out of those corners, using that cushion on the exit as much as he possibly can, trying to make the slide job work. It's not working for him so far. He's just not getting that run off the turn that he would like.
Yeah, he's trying to square the corner off using what we'd call a slide job line, because it's effectively doing the same thing as what you do with a slide job, but yeah, it's not quite working just yet. It's not slick enough down bottom just yet, so he's going to have to start to get back up to that high line and run where everybody else is running. And that's another good thing that you point out, the cushion. It's going to start to come into play a little bit later in these races, in these consolation races, because of the fact that it's going to start to grow with all this loose dirt being thrown up towards the wall, and it's just going to compact itself into what is effectively a mini banking or berm, more or less.
Yes, indeed. Currently on for second and third we're looking at. This is Matthew Clote versus Daniel Aitchison. Now these two, you can see the lines that they are using. That Optimum Racing line is really starting to move up the track now. The bottom is really slick right now. You can even see there's a dark groove that's formed down towards the inside of these turns. You don't want to use that at all under normal racing conditions, because your car will just lose all semblance of grip. Aitchison seems to be making this work a little better than Clote. Clote's just getting a bit too much up into the cushion in some cases, it seems.
Yeah, he seems to be running a little bit different line. It's really interesting actually watching the different drivers using different lines and what they're finding to be better instead of what others are finding to be better. And another thing to point out about that slick is it's actually getting quite slick on entry, and what that's going to actually do is build a bit of a cushion almost into the corner, and it's going to make the car really unsettled, because it's going to become really, really rough, and if you do hit it wrong, you're actually going to find yourself in the wall if you're unlucky enough.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can even see it from watching the cars go around the circuit on corner entry. There's a big dark patch where the track is dry and slick, all that compacted clay. So currently the top three seem relatively safe, and Anthony Green versus John King is definitely on right now. Both of these guys trying to stake their claim for trying to get onto the podium, but it seems that top three is just drawing further and further away by the turn.
Yeah, absolutely. That top three is really pulling away. It's making it difficult for Anthony Green to try and keep up and catch up with them. You'll notice that also everybody else is starting to drag their wings back even further just to get that extra drive. But this battle that's going on for fourth position between John King and Anthony Green and one of the car, I believe.
Ooh,
but
Phil Otto.
Yeah, Phil Otto. It's really tightening up, and it's actually starting to become really interesting as the lap times are really, really close between those three.
Yeah, Phil Otto's come from quite a ways back to try and get in amongst this battle with John King, and you can see right there, Phil Otto was using the cushion fantastically, and could this be the slide job? No,
contact!
Failed! There was a big contact there between Otto and King, who is stationary, but he's managing to get going again under his own power. A little messy getting going again, but goodness me, John King will not be happy with that one.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit disappointed. It looked like it could have possibly been a little bit of netco, but I'm not entirely sure, as it was a really interesting incident there. It almost looked like the slide job wasn't quite going to work, which unfortunately didn't by the looks of it.
Yes, well, the winner of that one was Trent Gosley, so that settles that. And the top three from that race going through to the C main here. The top four from this one will go to the B main. So we're going to gear up for this one. This is a 20-lap race, Cam, and Trent Gosley starting from pole here, followed by Sean O'Hara and Matthew Colote. Oh, sorry, Connor McCluskey-Young and Robert Northway, my mistake.
Yes, so we're going to have 4 transferring from this one to the B main. So those who don't finish inside the top 4 in this one will unfortunately have their night over fairly early. But yeah, Connor McCluskey-Young is starting on the pole. The way this has sort of worked is everybody from pretty much 4th down in each heat is staggered in their group positions. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what we're going to have as far as the race. I know we've got a fairly competitive front row, but yeah, we'll have to watch and see how this race turns out.
Yes, indeed. My mistake for getting that grid wrong. I unfortunately clicked the wrong button. Mea culpa. But Connor McCluskey-Young starting in pole here will have control, and these guys will be dealing with a track even worse than previous heats. And I think that's really going to factor into the racing. We might see some proper slide jobs start eventuating in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. With it being a lot more slick than previous races in some heats, especially for those that have been in the first heat, they won't have been on this sort of track wear state. So it's going to be a lot different compared to what they were racing on earlier. And yeah, it's just going to add to that factor. And we'll probably see a couple of slide jobs being thrown here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, and it's going to get real interesting.
It certainly is. McCluskey-Young holding back quite a bit from the pace car here. He's going to go early to start the C main here in the Knoxville Nationals. Already got quite a gap there. So Robert Northway.
Oh, we've got a big incident in the back, John M. King.
Oh, goodness me, we do too. And Jeremy Tester involved in that one as well, and he's just gone straight back to the pits.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened, whether that was contact from a right rear or what the story was, but that was a huge incident, unfortunately, for those two. So they're right at the back, and they're going to have a hard time catching up to these guys in front.
Yeah, they certainly are. Michael Lett, Christopher Norton, and Sean O'Hara battling, with O'Hara having some technical difficulties here. This is...
Norton and Glenn.
Oh, yeah. Goodness me, saved it though, as it is on for the lead here. Connor McCluskey-Young and Robert Northway battling hard, and Northway looking to try and make up for his heat performance. McCluskey-Young, oh, there we go, Northway throwing it up the inside, but McCluskey-Young using the cushion very nicely, getting a little squirrely off the exit of the turns, but this is an absolutely amazing battle happening right now. McCluskey-Young not getting a good run there off the inside, and Northway has nowhere to go.
Yeah, these two are definitely not leaving anything on the table at the moment for the C main win. So it's going to be all on. They're trading places, and it's really interesting to see the different lines using the low and the high line. Obviously, you'll start to see the cushion starting to come in possibly, but yeah, it's going to be really, really close between these two. There's nothing in it, actually. These both very good drivers, so we're going to have to keep an eye on this throughout the race, and it'll eventually create quite a bit of a battle as McCluskey-Young running the cushion actually now, so he's going to have a little bit more extra exit pace there, getting a little bit loose on the slick, but these two still going in it. Northway getting really close now.
Yeah, certainly. Northway is pressuring McCluskey-Young.
Slide
and
job.
There it is. Oh, will it work? McCluskey-Young getting a good run off the exit. Northway leaves him room on the outside. Good racing, boys. Oh, almost there, and it looks like that is an executed slide job there. McCluskey-Young had no response to that one on the exit of the final turn, so currently on lap 10 of 20. This is far from over.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still going at it. McCluskey-Young trying to come back with something for Northway, but Northway's starting to drive away as McCluskey-Young just getting sort of stuck in the slick a little bit. He's going to possibly look to run the cushion, but he's still running that high line that Northway is, and he's actually going to go for the slider line to try and gain some ground on him, and it's not quite worked as he's ended up in the slick on exit.
Yeah, he certainly has. Well, Northway enjoying a bit more of a lead now than he did over McCluskey Young, but he's got lap traffic here in the form of Jeremy Tester. Tester just sticking to the inside here to let the leaders pass, and Tester actually into the wall once again. Not having a good time is Mr. Tester, as third and fourth is on as well. Sean O'Hara versus Uldis Puteklis, but O'Hara continuing to suffer from those technical issues. Half the time, Puteklis doesn't know where he is.
Yeah, unfortunately, O'Hara seems to be blinking quite a bit. Actually, he's possibly going to be get throughput here if he's not careful, but those two are definitely racing very, very hard for that final transfer spot.
Yeah, they definitely are. O'Hara holding the inside line well there, but Puteklis getting those runs that are keeping him ahead. That right there is O'Hara showing that at this point in the event, it is possible to start making use of the inside line again.
Yeah, you'll start to actually see that a little bit. Obviously, while it's slick down there, there's actually a little bit of racetrack that you can use just to help keep the get a little bit better run. It's not going to be as quick as the outside line at the moment, but you will start to find that guys will start to run down there just to see if it's going to aid them in getting a little bit better of a run on the exit or getting it the shorter way around the racetrack. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether that's going to come into play in the B main or whether it's going to be still running the top.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, Robert Northway is continuing to enjoy a big lead here as he's making his way past Jeremy Tester once again. Connor McCluskey Young last time by the line was over 1.5 seconds behind, so his bid may almost be over. 5th and 6th, just changing positions just then. Michael Led actually losing 2 spots, so obviously not having a good time at the moment.
Yeah, I've actually gone back and had a look, and it's actually looked like he's just got a little bit too loose on the way out of turn 2, and actually got into the hard pan, which he's lost a huge amount of time from in multiple positions, so that's cost him.
He's still having problems, but the checkered flag is out. Robert Northway taking victory. Connor McCluskey Young and Uldis Puteklis coming home in the top 3, and Sean O'Hara earns his way into the B main as a result of all of that. That is a shame about Olet, though. It just seems like the car started over-rotating on him at the end there.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what actually started to happen to Mike there, whether it was just the car starting to go away from him or what the story was. But yeah, that's really, really strange. And unfortunately, that's actually going to cost Christopher Norton a lot of points as far as the championship's concerned as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. Big championship implications here at the Knoxville Nationals. But we are in the B main at the moment. A 10-car field. Daniel Vassell and Dean Mole leading the way here with Anthony Green, Trevor Mack, Oliver Searles, and Phil Otto, your top 6th. And the last 4 are the top 4 from the previous heat. So Northway, McCluskey, Young, Puteklis, and O'Hara completing your field here. Now, this I'm particularly interested to see because the top 6 are going to get into the feature race here.
Yeah, this is going to be the race that everyone's going to want to transfer, and there's going to be absolutely no doubt everybody's going to be trying their best to get to the front of the field. That top 6 is absolutely crucial, especially if you need to get through to the A main, because if you don't get inside that top 6, you're going to be night over at this point, and it's going to be really interesting because Sean O'Hara, Connor McCluskey Young, Robert Northway have all showed some very good pace in their previous races, so they're going to come through the field, and it'll be really interesting to see who's going to make it and who's not going to make it.
That's exactly right. Well, Daniel Vassell is going to be the one who leads the way here, and I'll tell you what, on his strength of coming 4th in Heat 1, that's going to be interesting because he didn't actually lead away from the field before tonight, so this is going to be his first time making that jump.
Yeah, for sure. And the interesting thing about being the lead car is you want to play a strategy in that you want to get a good jump so you can get a gap to the guys behind, but you don't want to do it so that you get penalized for jumping too early from the pace car not entering the pit lane, as that does happen now. And Vassal goes now.
Yes, he does, and have a look at that. Oh, goodness me. It's getting really hectic down there for the top, for second and third, sorry. Anthony Green, oh, big contact. That's big contact. Anthony Green around. More cars around in the background. It's all on here in the B main at the moment. And oh my goodness.
Hit the wall.
Yeah, O'Hara still blinking. No one knows where he is.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. I think it was going to happen at some point.
Puteklis making contact with Anthony Green. That incident has just gone around the entire of the first 2 laps. And I think a lot of drivers will be hot under the bonnet after that one.
Yeah, for sure. That was a very, very hectic first 2 laps. And now the interesting bit is Puteklis is still on the bubble. And now Anthony Green is actually still going after almost riding the wall effectively, and Puteklis is on the wall.
Oh my goodness, upside down too. So many drivers here just in with a chance and then completely blowing it.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I'm not sure whether it's the track conditions or just the pressure of having to finish inside that top 6. I'm not sure what's going on, but a lot of strange incidents. Now Northway is on the bubble, and I think that's pretty much him going to be safe for sound because Puteklis is in 7th and he now lapped down.
Yeah, so everyone currently in the bubble is going to go through, it seems. No danger of that. But nonetheless, Oliver Searles and Robert Northway continuing to fight for 6th and 5th place. And they're actually having a bit of a fun battle there, crossing over each other.
Northway having a very good go at a slide job, making it stick very well there on Searles. So now he's up into the 5th place, which will mean he will start second and last in the A main. But Searles starting to fall back a little bit. But as you said, those top 6 are all pretty much safe. And Searles getting very sideways up turn 4, holding on to it. But as you can also see, that cushion is now starting to come into play.
Yeah, it certainly is. Drivers making use of more of the racetrack than they did before. And you can see a big pile of dirt going up nearer to the wall on the outsides of these turns. Northway gapping Searles quite a bit there. Searles just seems he's not quite happy with the balance of his car right now.
Yeah, he seems to be struggling a little bit. He needs to get out of that slick that he's running in because it's just making the car over-rotate too much, and he's losing all sorts of ground to the guys ahead. While he's still going to be safe, he really does need to be careful that he doesn't spin out and possibly end his race early. So he's just running the bottom, playing it safe. If he winds his wing back, I think it might help him a little bit. But at the moment, I think what he might also be doing is just seeing what that could possibly do for him as far as setup-wise and what he might need to change for later in this feature.
That's exactly right. Uldis Puteklis in 7th is behind him on track, but is a fair few laps down, so there's no danger to Searles' race here. So he can afford to do that. He can afford to try and do that experimentation. 3rd and 4th, though, Dean Moll and Connor McCluskey-Young, these guys starting to get very close. Looks to me like McCluskey actually took 3/10 out of Moll on the last lap, and you can see the gap physically getting smaller as McCluskey actually making the inside line work very nicely. Look at that.
Yeah, he is.
Already through.
Yeah, he's actually making it work very well. That slider line coming into play quite a bit, and it's working really, really well for McCluskey-Young there. So be interested to see what's going to happen in the rest of this race for him and whether it's actually going to advantage him a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. McCluskey setting some good lap times there. Meanwhile, Trevor Mack and Daniel Vassal very safe here in the top 2 positions. Vassal coming around to start lap 17 of 20, so not much longer left in this race, and he will certainly be safe for the A main.
Yeah, absolutely. Particulars, I actually just had a moment out of turn 4, and he's well down the order now. So anybody below 7th and all the way down to 10th is not going to make it. They're well behind, and Searles at this stage is well and truly safe at finishing this race and making it through to the A main.
That's exactly right. So the race only has a short time to go. 2 laps to go for our leaders, and goodness me, this particular race I think was one of the most dramatic of the night. Far more contact than we've seen in any of the races so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said earlier, it's all on when you want to try and make the feature, and nobody leaves anything on the table. You really do have to work for it, and while unfortunately a lot of guys today have contact, it's really good to see those who did make it, as Vassal's just come across the line just behind Northway to take.
Yeah, a little bit of contact with Northway in the process. So Trevor Mack coming home in 2nd, Connor McCluskey Young in 3rd, 4th is going to be Dean Mole, Robert Northway in 5th, and Oliver Searles 1 lap down in 6th. The rest are almost out, but we do have a 5-minute warm-up in between these races. So on the strength of that, I think it's time for us to go on a quick break. You are watching the International Division of the Majors Series, supporting the Multiple Sclerosis Society. This is the Knoxville Nationals on V8's Online. This is the Knoxville Nationals, part of the Majors series. This is the international division you're watching here on V8's Online, supporting the Multiple Sclerosis Society. We're about to move into the feature, the final race of the night, a 35-lap race with 15 cars on the grid. Once again, my name is Reese Gardner, and joining me is Cameron Dance. Cam, checkered flag is flying on the warm-up, and here we go. This is the main event of the night. It's all decided here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the one race everyone's going to want to win now, with the final 15 cars all making it through. McCluskey, Young, and Northway, the only drivers also to make it do the alphabet at this stage to make it into this 35-lap feature. So it's going to be really interesting. Cautions are on for this race, weren't on for the rest of the races. So it's going to be all about making sure that you follow where everybody's going, stick to that really grippy line, and also getting a really good restart if there are any cautions.
That's exactly right. Well, the grid is as follows. Jason Martin is going to start from pole position. Daniel Stevens alongside him in row 1. Row 2 is going to be Trent Gosley and James Robbie. Row 3 is going to be Josh Nowak and Daniel Aitchison. Following by Shane Bowen, Matthew Clote, Daniel Vassell and Trevor Mack, Connor McCluskey-Young, Dean Moll, and the final row going to be Robert Northway and Oliver Searles. That is your 15-car grid here for the A-Main, the feature, the final, whichever you wish to call it. The fireworks go up here around Knoxville Raceway as the drivers get set up for this endurance round of the night.
Yeah, 35 laps around Knoxville is quite a distance. I know usually most features are around 30 laps. 35 laps is a little bit on the longer side. It's not quite hugely long. I know we were originally scheduled to do about 40 to 50 laps for the feature, but unfortunately with only about 30 gallons or 113 litres in the fuel tank of these cars, which is on the rear of the car, it does make it a little bit of a challenge to go that extra distance. But the other thing to remember is that with it being a 35-lap race, some guys you might find will gamble on fuel a little bit to possibly expect 1 or 2 cautions. Some guys will fill it up to make it to the end at green. We'll see what happens, but if we do see guys run out, those will be the ones that have gambled and it won't have paid off for them.
No, certainly not. Well, we'll have to wait and see. That track is already a bit used. It was reset to 0% usage in the warm-up, but we saw quite a bit of running in the warm-up, which means that the track has a bit of a groove starting to form. It's going to be challenging for the drivers in this one. Safety car in. What will Jason Martin do? He's going nice and early as the green flag flies here. We are go at Knoxville once again for the final race of the night. Seeing a bit of drama there in the lower podium positions. Daniel Stevens using that outside line to great effect. Have a look at the run he's got.
Yeah, really, really good drive by Daniel Stevens to get around the outside and move into his second position at the moment. So great try by him. It's all on throughout this field at the moment for the miners. Oh, Nowak having contact with someone there in the background, and that's caught up another driver. I think that was someone else, but that's a caution out.
Yeah, that certainly is. So that is Matthew Clote upside down. Definitely not how he will have wanted his night to continue. I'm going to rewind quickly and see how on earth that happened. Looked like he was just getting into it a bit there with, it seems, Shane Bowen. No, actually. He was caught up in an incident with one of his teammates. That was Trent Gosley.
Yeah, it just looked like that all started between Gosley and Nowak. Now, he tried to put the nose in there and he just clipped Gosley, and unfortunately, Clote had nowhere to go and had to pretty much run into his teammate. So that's really, really unfortunate. But lucky for Nowak, he's managed to keep on going. He's currently in 9th, but he won't want to probably do any more risky moves like that as he's trying to protect his championship after all.
Yes, indeed. Oliver Searles being given an end-of-line penalty. Found himself in the lead of the race for some reason. I'm not quite sure where that came from. But Jason Martin resuming the lead of this one. as making his way into the pits is Matthew Clote with a car that seems a bit worse for wear. Doing the old crab dance, going a bit sideways in a straight line. I mean, obviously you want to go sideways on a track like this, but not down the straights.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the most ideal thing to be turning the opposite way to straight when you're going down the straights, unless you've actually got some steering offset built into the car. But yeah, really, really unfortunate. And like we said earlier, some of these, well, pretty much the entire field will have a spare car to use at some point, whether they need to or not. It's up to them. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what can happen from this point onward from Trent Gosling, whether he can actually charge to the field and possibly win it from the back as we are green again.
Yes, we are. Jason Martin leading the field away once again. Getting a nice gap this time around, but you can see on a charge is James Robbie, actually gaining quite a bit of time on Martin over that first lap, and it is on for third and fourth. That's Daniel Stevens and Daniel Aitchison. Also wanting to get in on this is Dwayne Burns and Daniel Vassell. It is really on here for third place. Currently winning that little mini fight is Mr. Aitchison. Oh, there we go, contact!
Done.
Oh, goodness me, and the yellow flag is out once again. Dwayne Burns, big incident. Oh, yeah.
Actually got hit by his teammate there, which was really, really unfortunate. I think his teammate would have got away with that but you're really, really chaotic there down the front straight.
Yeah, that certainly is, and that right there is one of the dangers of sprint car racing at a track like this. Just looks to me like Stevens was trying his best to stay out of the wall, but Burns, my mistake, had to get out of that corner, so they ended up coming together. Real shame for Burns.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing really, really well running in that position that he was in prior to that incident. He was actually going to possibly be on for a podium if he kept going the way he was, but yeah, that's really, really unfortunate. He won't be happy with that at all.
No, definitely not. Well, second caution of the feature tonight, and it's going a bit slower than I think a few drivers were expecting. Interesting to note, though, the incidents that we've seen happen have not been due to drivers spinning. They've more been to drivers coming together on the exit.
Yeah, I think that's mainly down to the fact that the track's actually starting to slick up a little bit on the exits of the corner. As you can see, there's just a very faint dark patch of slick starting to form on the exits of the turn, especially turn 4 and 2. So it's starting to become a little bit more challenging going into and out of the corners for these guys, and they're going to have to really start to focus this. In fact, actually use this time under caution as a way of seeing where they should be running or where they can get away with running it off the restart. So it's something that these guys will have to quickly catch on to, and it's something you do learn over time as you do more races on dirt.
Yeah, certainly. Pace Truck has its lights out and will be re-entering the pits once again. Expecting Martin to go early again. He seems to have a habit of doing that. He is already away. Nice launch. But James Robbie is right on that. And you can see Jason Martin going for that inside line. So drivers starting to experiment with the inside line again. The top, it seems, its day is done.
Well, not necessarily, Reese. That top may come in a little bit more later in this race. That inside line does appear to be working for Jason Martin at the moment. He's got that car set up quite well, and he's actually running it quite well, though Robbie's coming very quickly on that outside line, just above that slick, which is probably the quicker line around this racetrack at the moment with the way that it's slick. But yeah, as you can see, that little bit of difference between the line with Robbie on the outside and Martin on the inside, and now Robbie's right there. Battle going on for third just behind them as well.
Yes, indeed. That battle for third, Daniel Vassell and Daniel Aitchison, they are going side by side. One on the inside, one on the outside, both making it work in their own ways. This battle for the lead is scintillating right now. Jason Martin, you can see he's starting to move up. I think he was just experimenting with that lower line and found that it wasn't quite to his liking. Oh, here we go. It's almost on there between Robbie and Martin. Robbie had a bit of a shot there at taking the lead, but backed out of it. Just not able to make that inside line work. Martin in the wall.
Yeah, just clipped the outside wall there. Robbie now alone, trying the lower line. Just clipped the inside broom there as well. And we've got cast together.
Yeah, that was another caution out. That's Daniel Aitchison and Shane Bowen coming together. So those guys, obviously, no love lost between them as a result of that. It seems that Aitchison actually had a major slide on entry into turn one, and, well, Bowen really couldn't do much there.
Yeah, I think Aitchison actually just got caught out on the six, and it sent him out quite wide, and then the car just gripped up, and unfortunately Bowen had nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's a real shame. That's another danger that you need to be aware of when the track starts slicking up like this. The fact that drivers in front of you may make a mistake and then shoot towards the inside as their car grips up again. You need to be prepared to react to that, possibly go for the outside line as well. But I think from Bowen's perspective, there wasn't much he could have done to avoid that.
Yeah, it's one of those incidents that I've actually been involved in myself, and you can't really do much about it because you're not expecting the car in front of you to grip up. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So you, like you said, you do have to be ready for it, but at the same time, it's the way the car's angled sometimes. You don't expect it, and when it does happen, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, those guys are out of contention for this one. They remain in the pits. So, real shame for both of them. But for Jason Martin, James Robbie, and Daniel Vassell, this is looking like a good race. Vassell in particular, from 10th to 3rd. Good run from him. Nowak, I'm looking at as well, up from 5th to 4th. We'll see what he can do in these latter stages of the race. We're going to come around to start lap 22 of 35 once the pace truck comes in, which it does. Jason Martin going a little bit later this time as the green flag flies, and Robbie right with him once again. So Martin under big pressure, the top three breaking away.
Yeah, absolutely.
The top two. Oh, there we go.
Moment.
James Robbie just getting into the wall there. Martin leaving not quite enough room on the outside, I think. Probably was taken a bit by surprise there. Nowak now fighting with Daniel Vassell, losing ground on the exit. That's going to allow Robert Northway to have a little bit of a look in here. The cars all very close together at this stage.
Well, Northway going for a slide job on Nowak. Is it going to work? Nowak's going to try back out of it, try square the corner off, but it's not quite worked, and Northway's made it on through. But this battle for that 5th place position is really heating up. It's going to go 3 wide out of turn 4.
That's excellent. Excellent racing here at Knoxville. That is the kind of stuff that we want to see. The drivers just trading positions. You can see where they are gaining, where they are losing. Northway, big slide job there on Vassell, and he finds himself in P3 now. Oh, a little bit of contact between him and Vassell. Can Northway make that that higher line work and get a run? Yes, he can. Oh my goodness me. So from the C main all the way to
Gosling and Vassell almost coming together.
Yeah, certainly. They're really battling hard for that 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th place. Robert Northway skipping away there in 3rd place, going to try and challenge the top 2. What a turnaround for his night.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not the most confident, but he's doing really, really good, and this is aiding his championship, and now Vassell on the cushion, and it's on for the lead.
Yes, it is. Jason Martin and James Robbie. Looks like Robbie actually trying to take the lead from Martin, not leaving him enough room there on the outside, but that is perfectly fine. That was the slide job that you just saw there, and he is making that outside line work very nicely. So Martin is going to have to figure out a way to respond to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin losing a lot of ground. He's just getting caught out by the slick on the exit of the corner, and now Robbie's going to go low and Martin's going to go high, but Danny Vassell further back is running that cushion. He's absolutely railing it, and with the number of laps left, he may be able to actually catch this pack in front of him with the speed that he might have.
Yeah, indeed. Josh Nowak thinking he might do the same, but Trent Gosley and Daniel Vassell making that cushion line work very nicely for them. Have a look at Vassell. He's going to try and go for the move here on Gosley. Down the inside, making that work beautifully. Oh. Yeah, he did. Very nicely done there. But now, I tell you what, Jason Martin's night is looking in jeopardy because Robert Northway is starting to pressure him here for second place.
Yeah, Northway's done very, very well to come through the alphabet from the C main all the way to being third with only a handful of laps to go, about 3 laps to go, or 2.5 now, sorry. And he's all on for possibly even a second place finish if Martin doesn't quite find a way quick enough. So this is going to be all on with 2 laps to go.
Yes, indeed. So the field is spacing out a little bit, but you can see that drivers are at the end of their metaphorical ropes. Connor McCluskey-Young just making his way past Josh Nowak. So McCluskey-Young into 6th, making a late race charge. He's going to try and get Trent Gosley here as we are on the last lap. James Robbie making his way past lap traffic here.
Oh, and a big slide job from Danny Vassell into 3rd place. He's going to get it just as they come into turn 4, side by side. Line and Northway's going to hold on to it just.
Oh, brilliant finish there. The fireworks going up once again. James Robbie, fantastic performance there in the final heat. How about Robert Northway, that final heat? What am I saying? Final race of the night. Robert Northway, though. What a turnaround there. We saw in his first heat, that was really not the kind of performance we expected from him. But you know what? From 14th to 3rd in the feature, a fantastic performance from Northway. And commiserations to Jason Martin. He had a pretty dominant night up to that point, but he'll have to settle for 2nd in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Great drive from Northway, and really unfortunate for Martin, but we do have our results on screen.
Yes, we do. So James Robbie takes home victory here in the Knoxville Nationals with Jason Martin and Robert Northway completing the podium. Danny Vassell in 4th from 10th. Good run there. Trent Gosley having to settle for 5th place with Connor McCluskey-Young making his way up into 6th towards the end. Josh Nowak in 7th with Trevor Mack in 8th. Dean Moll finishing in 9th place. Oliver Searles completes the top 10. And the rest of your field as follows: Daniel Stevens and Matthew Clote taking the checkered flag, but Shane Bowen, Dwayne Burns, and Daniel Aitchison will be looking for more from that night. Unfortunately, not finding it.
Yeah, really, really interesting night. A lot of guys with a lot of potential, unfortunately getting caught up by incidents, but yeah, one heck of a race at the end there for the final spot on the podium and the lead. So congrats to Robbie Martin and North on their podium. And yeah, if this had to happen again, it'd be really, really good as this put on a hell of a kick for show.
Yeah, it certainly did. While we wait for drivers to come in for interviews, we will go on a quick break and we'll come back in a few seconds with the top 3. You're watching the Knoxville Nationals, supporting the Multiple Sclerosis Society. We'll be back very, very soon here on V8's Online. This is the Majors Series.
3, 2, 1.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Welcome back, one and all, for the post-race interviews here from the Knoxville Nationals, part of the International Division of the Majors series, supporting, of course, the Multiple Sclerosis Society. My name's Reese Gardner. Joining me currently, James Robbie, your victor here at this round of the series. James, victory at Knoxville. How does it feel?
Oh, cheers, Reese. Oh, I'm stoked. Absolutely stoked to get to round win and to be on the top step. It's always a good night when I get to talk to you guys. So hell of a great race with Jason there. So just happy to come out on top.
Certainly was a good race. It seemed that you really cottoned on to his starts going through the main.
Yeah, excuse my French, but I actually ballsed up the first one, and then just learnt from it. But Jason was getting a cracker start, and so I had to pick up my game as the race went on.
Yeah, certainly. Well, towards the end there, it seemed that that you and Jason were experimenting with those lines around the circuit. So it seemed that you managed to make it work a little better. Did you anticipate that Jason would fall off at the second half?
I never anticipate anything with Jace. He's always fast in anything he races, but I was just trying to experiment with lines and find out where was fast that he wasn't. And that's the same with dirt. You can't be fast if you're running behind someone. So it's just a matter of trying to find a line that worked. And fortunately, I've got a little bit of a dirt experience, and I know that the Donny Shots line through Knoxville seems to work pretty well, running low and on entry and high on exit. So ran that a couple of times and got some good speed out of it, and just had to make it work through 3 and 4.
Well, make it work you did, and coming home with this victory, this is certainly going to help you in the championship standings coming into the last couple of rounds of the season.
Yeah, I missed a couple of rounds early on, unfortunately, and it's put me back a step. But this will help greatly.
Certainly. Well, before we let you go, James, who gets it done for you? Who'd you like to give a shout out to?
Basically me and Dan Atchison and Rory at Misfit Motorsport, and just working together and just making things happen, and good communication. And yeah, no, it was good to be in a good team and running at the front.
Certainly. Well, congratulations once again, James. Thanks for joining us in the commentary box. Jason Martin, second place there in the end, but considering everything else that happened, it was a pretty successful night.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm real happy with that. I didn't know how I'd go in the race, so I'll definitely take a top 3.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I guess you seem to have it down pat in terms of starts and all of that in the heats, but what happened in the feature?
Yeah, I'm good on a fresh track, but once it gets a little bit slick, I've got no idea what to do. I didn't know what lines to run, so I was way out of my depth.
So that there, I guess, is the main reason why we saw that experimentation from you off the. I think it would have been the third caution in the final, trying to run that inside line. But it seems that you switched back to that high line pretty quickly.
Yep, but I couldn't make that work very good either, so I was just hanging on to the car after that.
Well, nonetheless, you must definitely be happy with a second place at Knoxville, and considering that you were in 11th place in the international region standings beforehand, this is going to really help you out, especially with your championship rivals finishing further down.
Okay, that's good news.
Well, before we let you go, Jason, who would you like to thank, considering this is once again another successful night for you in the majors?
I'm not on any team, so I'd just like to thank V8's Online for the broadcast and Michael Lett for the Majors series.
Fantastic stuff, Jason. Thank you very much for joining us. And our final interview for the night is going to be Robert Northway. Robert, we called this a big turnaround for you with your performance in the final, considering what happened to you earlier on in the night.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with my heat race, and I was just hoping to get to the A main from the C, and getting third was a complete shock, but I'm completely stoked about it. Bit of redemption from Indy a couple of weeks back.
Yes, indeed. 14th to 3rd in the final. So What was it like from your perspective? What was your strategy going into it?
It was just any car. Basically, my strategy was any car in front of me, I'd choose the opposite line to them, and hopefully I'll get through. And it just seemed to work. At times, it felt like the parting of the seas.
Yeah, obviously, those cautions would have helped as well. A bit of a breather to try and get your wits about you once again.
Yeah, definitely was. Because unfortunately, obviously being down the back, you just lose so much time. So if we went caution free, I probably wouldn't have even made the top 10. But because those cautions kept coming, I kept getting right on the tail of the next guy and eventually found myself up in third.
Well, third it was at the end of the night, so obviously must be absolutely glowing with that, and it'll help your championship as well, no doubt.
Oh, definitely. If you said to me when I was starting in the C main that I'd finish third, I'd pretty much say you need to go to an insane asylum. But I managed to get there.
Yeah. Well, you did get there, Mr. Northway. Before we let you go, who would you like to shout out?
Quick shout out to the boys at SSR Esports. I do a bit of the endurance racing. My mates at KSR, and most importantly to my soon-to-be wife. I better keep her in the good books.
Yes, certainly. Congratulations to you too. Thank you very much for joining us, Robert. Thank you to all of the drivers here in the top 3 for joining us in the commentary box. Cam, what a night of racing. It was over so quickly, but I guess there were a lot of meat on the bones of that race.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome racing throughout the entire night from everyone, whether it be in the heats, in the constellations, or even in the feature. It was really, really good to see. Awesome racing, and the best of the best came out on top.
They certainly did. Well, the party is not over for the majors. The next round is going to be the Japanese Grand Prix on September the 30th. Can't wait for that. Suzuka Grand Prix circuit and the McLaren MP430, the Formula One car. Be interesting to see how these drivers adapt to such a circumstance, especially considering that it's such a huge jump from what we've seen at Knoxville tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely different car and completely different sort of driving style, with it being a Formula One car on pavement. It's going to be really, really good to see what happens, and I cannot wait for it.
Certainly. Put that in your calendar. The international division race is going off on the 30th of September 2018. Be there, of course. We will be broadcasting it on V8's Online as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. It was an enjoyable night of racing for us up here in the commentary box. We hope it was for you as well. Be sure to like V8's Online on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and check out the Majors series if you wish to have a run for a different variety of racing here to crown the most versatile driver on the iRacing sim competing for the Mario Andretti Trophy. Of course, we would like to thank the organizers and also our director here at V8's Online, Jay Kennedy. Fantastic job as always, mate. And we hope to see you next time. Supporting the Multiple Sclerosis Society, this was the Knoxville Nationals, part of the Majors series. Your winner, James Robbie. We'll see you next time.